Next is Gift of the Gem Dragon. I almost said Gem Dragon. It's the new GIF versus GIF. Gem again.
Actually, the original Gem Dragon wanted to be pronounced Gem, so...
I think it's Gem Dragon.
Welcome to Monsters Multiclass, your Dungeons & Dragons fix. I'm Kevin Odie.
I'm Jared Mornigal.
And I'm Will Meldon.
And we'll be hanging out with you for a while to talk about anything and everything D&D related. On this episode, we are rounding out our Fizban's Treasury of Dragons coverage with the rest of the character creation options. So we are taking a look at the new races added, the feats, and then the spells. So 3 distinct sections will be chapter marked and everything, so easy to jump to what you want.
The algorithm tells us this should be 3 separate videos, but we don't care.
Yeah.
You hear that, algorithm? All right, so let's get started with the new Dragonborn races. So they added a couple here, the Chromatic, Gem, and Metallic Dragonborns. These are just kind of offshoots of the Dragonborn race that was originally in the player's handbook. They did this previously with Tieflings. Back in, I believe, Mordenkainen's added the additional Tiefling races. I may be wrong about that book, but sure. Either way, it just kind of adds some specialization to it. And I think also gives a little bit more to the class that the base Dragonborn, I think, didn't have.
Race, yeah.
Starting with the Chromatic, this covers let's say the normal dragons that you know about, the black, blue, green, red, and white dragons. And this... Should I read the text? Should I read the paragraph?
No.
Okay, good. All right. Well, good. I won't read it. If you want to read it, by Fizbans. And have the following traits. You are humanoid, of course, medium, walking speed of 30, and then we get the chromatic ancestry. So you choose one of those colors aforementioned, and you get to determine a couple of elements for your following traits, like your breath weapon. And this is when you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of your attacks with an exhalation of magical energy in a 30-foot line that is 5 feet wide. Each creature in that area makes a dex saving throw, which is 8 plus your constitution mod plus your proficiency modifier. And then on a failed save, creature takes 1d10 damage of the type associated with your chromatic ancestry. On a success, it's half. And damage increases to 2d10 at 5th level, 3d10 at 11th, and 4d10 at 17th level. And you can do that a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain them on a long rest.
You know what this sounds very similar to?
You going to say the monk?
The primary subclass feature of the Ascendant Dragon Monk, or whatever it's called.
Yes.
Blanking on the name. Way of the Ascendant Dragon.
Yeah,
this is just a free race that you get, and it competes with it. I
wouldn't necessarily say
it's better, but it's...
The way of the Descendant Dragon.
Yeah, this is a pretty strong racial feature. I like the fact that it actually increases in damage as you level up. It scales like cantrips do, which isn't normal for racial abilities. Mm-hmm. Usually they're pretty flatlined because they're not supposed to be that powerful. But here we see it again. It's kind of equally as good, if not better, than the monk's damage. I think it's better.
There's this 2 martial die, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
And this starts at a D10, which is already better.
And there starts at a D4. Yeah.
And they get to add... I don't know if they get to add their dex modifier. No, they don't.
Just 2 rolls of the martial arts die.
Okay. Somebody really hates monks.
They do. Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll go through the rest of these, but after reading through these, my takeaway was if you want to be a dragon monk, go Way of the Open Hand, because it's kind of flavor agnostic, and then pick one of these Dragonborn subclasses.
Yeah.
And you're going to be so much better. The flavor's there. You have almost the same abilities. You just got to pick and choose a little bit. You don't get all of them, obviously, but...
Yep.
It was kind of disappointing.
And I did actually have somebody send me an email. Yes, I get emails about the show. And they basically said that exact same thing. The person who emails me, you know who you are. Caleb. You're the only one who emails me. Why do you do that? Get social media. The rest of the world has caught up.
I think they might be onto something there. I'm good to we'll just shut down social media and do it back to the email.
Back to email. Anyways, yes, that is exactly what they brought up. And it was just like, oh my gosh, you're totally right. It's it's everything that you want that is in the monk. It's pointless. So this is kind of the common theme of all of these racial abilities is that, one, they're better than the monk subclass, and two, they offer a breath weapon and then something else or a couple other things. The next ability is the Draconic Resistance. This is still obviously for the Chromatic Dragonborn, and you have resistance to the damage type associated with your chromatic ancestry, and that is just permanent forever.
Yeah. Isn't that like the 11th level monk feature?
Well, that lets you choose it, so it is a little different. You're not stuck with one.
But it's for a minute, and it costs you key. But that's an aura, but only a 10-foot aura.
It costs monks key to wake up in the morning.
All right. They get a free one. Don't forget that. They get a free resistance.
Yes.
This is just always on.
Yep. And then we got Chromatic Warding. So starting at 5th level, as an action, you can channel your Draconic energy to protect yourself. For 1 minute, you become immune to the damage type associated with your chromatic ancestry. Once you use this trait, you can't do so until you finish a long rest. So you can gain immunity to it if you want.
Yeah, I think that was actually one of our suggested fixes to the Dragon Monk.
Okay, so this is actually just going to be the We Hate Dragon Monk episode, part 2.
Yeah. No, I really love this. So yeah, it's getting away from the negativity of Dragon Monk, which has just really sucked us in over the weeks here.
I can't escape it. That and Twilight Cleric haunt my dreams.
I love these Dragonborn changes. They feel actually really powerful for races. Like they kind of, I think, outclass a lot of player handbook races. The player handbook Dragonborn now is just worthless. If you have access to these in your campaign, there's no reason to pick it because like their breath weapon is like a full attack, and I think it's just once per short or long rest.
Yeah,
and it doesn't go up in damage.
It does. It goes up in damage.
Okay.
It starts at 2d6 though instead of 1d10. And then goes to 3d6, 4d6, and then 5d6 at 16th level. So
right. And is it just a once per short rest?
Correct.
Yeah.
Where this is up to your proficiency bonus per long rest.
And this is just one attack of your attack action.
Yeah, it is an action to use your breath weapon in the original one.
Yeah. Also, these things, we kind of skipped this. Their ability score increases are better. So, for the Dragonborn here in Fizban's, the ability score increases are you choose an ability to increase by 2, and then a different score by 1, or you increase 3 different scores by 1.
Oh.
That's kind of the default now.
No, it's not actually.
Went over this.
No, Tasha's, it's you take, if you have a +2 and a +1, that's it. You are stuck with a +2 and a +1. You can't do 3 +1s. You don't just get like a pool of points to add to wherever you want. That is unique to this race.
Is it? Is that good though?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Versatility is always good. It's hard to argue with just being able to do that. With point buy, you can usually cap out at 15, so all you need is +1 to get to 16 to make it worthwhile. If you can get 3 stats to an odd number and increase them to an even number, that is better than increasing one stat by a full number and another stat by a half.
Yeah, so you could do point buy and do 15, 15, 15, 8, 8, 8. Which is
and then get 3 16s.
That's easy to get. Right, and then they get 3 16s of strength, charisma, and wisdom.
Oh,
to build your paladin cleric.
This is why we film episodes in
order.
Don't do that. If you want to check out our cleric paladin episode, go ahead and go up here, and don't do that. I mean, actually, this would actually be a pretty good class or pretty good race to do a cleric paladin.
It would be cool.
Yeah, as long as you're fine with Constitution being 8.
Oh God, and Dex.
Yes, you are also a frontline fighter.
All right. So anything else around Chromatic Dragon? Okay. Great. Then we get to the Gem Dragonborn. And the Gem Dragons are a new type of dragon added in Fizban's that just relate to different gems. And I know nothing else about them. Will, do you know anything about them? You seem like you did.
They're psionic.
Oh.
How do you think I feel about a psionic dragon?
That
you love it.
Combines a lot of the things you yell about. just like call me up at 3 a.m. and just go on rants about psionics and dragons. It's really weird, man. You need to stop doing that. Get help.
Yeah, I gotta get to bed, man.
It's the only way you can do it. Screaming at me. All right, so for their traits, much of the same to start here. They are humanoid, they are medium, their walking speed is 30 feet, and they get their gem ancestry, which there's a little table down below that gives them amethyst, crystal, emerald, sapphire, topaz. Amethyst is force, crystal is radiant, emerald is psychic, sapphire is thunder, and topaz is necrotic. And I
love how it changes up damage types.
Yes, that is
actually
actually really
come
nice.
up here. Being like a force damage breath weapon is kind of a little nuts, but kind of neat.
A little. I know that like the general thought is that force damage is so good because it's barely ever resisted. There's literally one monster in the entire book that resists force damage, but resistances come up so infrequently in 5e because they made them too powerful. Resistance and vulnerability as they are just so cut and dry that I think the designers were really hesitant to ever use them, which is probably its own conversation. But I feel
like resistance comes up a ton.
I don't think it comes up enough. Like, I feel like most of the time it comes up, it's so obvious that like there's nothing more to it. It's like, oh, you're fighting a fire elemental. It's resistant to fire. Well, yeah, no crap. Yeah. And you don't want to go any further than that, because if you make things vulnerable to damage and players know what that is, it makes every encounter a cakewalk. Mm-hmm. So older editions, there was variability to how resistant something was, or I'll be honest, I haven't played older editions, so I'm talking out my ass here a little bit. But it wasn't so cut and dry, where you could be vulnerable and maybe you took +2 damage every time, but it was too much bookkeeping. So you come out with 5th edition where it's like, we've removed the bookkeeping, it's all simple now, and it makes it a little too strong to toy with and be experimental with.
For sure, yeah.
But either way, yes, having force is nice. It's generally considered the best element type or damage type to deal.
Damage type. Mm-hmm. That or psychic.
Right. And so with that, we get another breath weapon. And the only difference here is that it can still replace an attack, but it is a 15-foot cone, whereas the chromatic was a 30-foot line that is 5 feet wide. So different shape. And it, of course, does the damage type of the gem ancestry you've chosen, but it scales damage-wise in the exact same way. 1d10 at 5th, 1d10 before 5th, 2d10 at 5th, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. You use it up to a number of times of your proficiency bonus per long rest.
Right. And then you get Draconic Resistance, so you resist damage types associated with your gem ancestry. Getting resistance to force damage is like the only way to do it that I know of.
Yeah. Or be a barbarian and be an emerald to get psychic, and then you are truly resistant to everything while raging. Because psychic's the only thing they're not.
That's good. I like that. Yeah. And by that, I mean
it almost never comes up, but I mean...
But the one time
if it's like a Mind Flayer campaign, that's when it would be neat.
Yeah, I honestly would say that, like, from a DM's perspective, that would annoy me. It would be like, come on, like, you've got one weakness that one time in this campaign I will exploit. It's not going to be like every enemy has a psychic damage dealer, but like the one time I want to throw psionics at you and you're going to be like, oh, nuh-uh, I'm resistant to that too.
Right.
I hate you, player. Have weaknesses. It's okay. I promise that's what a party is for. They will make up for it. You don't have to shine every single encounter.
I think a pure barbarian has plenty of weaknesses in Dungeons & Dragons. It's not just psychic damage, perfect and everything else. They're kind of crap out of combat. They have no spell casting. They have no range.
And they smell bad.
No utility.
I just had a bad experience with one barbarian when I was a new DM, and it's tainted me.
Right.
And it's also because I gave them a +3 maul.
I was going to say, that was more on you.
Oh, I don't disagree. But doesn't mean I have to recognize my faults and improve from them.
Right.
I just want to be mad about them. What is this? Monsters Multiclass and self-improvement?
Nah.
That would be not a good show. No. All right. So at 5th level... Oh, no, I skipped actually.
What?
At you also get Psionic Mind. Sorry. And that is you can send telepathic messages to any creature you can see within 30 feet of you. You don't need to share a language to have it understand you, but it must be able to understand at least one language to comprehend them.
Yeah, this is one way as written.
Yes.
It does not sound like they could talk back, but that's still neat.
It's very useful.
I like it.
Being able to talk to your party and communicate ideas, especially if you're the party face, I feel like is a really good way of doing that. Though I hate the concept of a party face. That's kind of besides the point.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
But if you are the person who generally handles social interactions, because that's whatever the situation you've got, then being able to communicate ideas with your teammates without the other side hearing and, just being on the same page is very helpful.
Right. And there's now since psionics are such a major part, especially since Tasha's came out, there's a ton of ways to do this. A lot of subclasses get it, variations, but here's just another way to do it without having to be a full psionic.
Yep. And so then at 5th level, we get another way to be better than the Way of the Ascendant Dragon Monk. With starting at 5th level, you can use a bonus action to manifest spectral wings on your body. These wings last for 1 whole minute, not just until the end of your turn. And for the duration, you gain a flying speed equal to your walking speed and can hover. And you can do this once per long rest.
Yep.
I think I said it all with my giving the description. Sorry.
Yeah, it is a better version than there's a wings unfurled.
Yes.
Where it's when you spend a key to do
Step of the Wind as a bonus action.
Which costs you a bonus action. For exactly that turn, you get a flying speed.
Yeah. So this continues the Wizards of the Coast tirade that flying speed doesn't matter after 5th level, which to some extent I generally agree with, because you have access to the fly spell and it's just hard to avoid flying being a possibility. But it also continues the tirade of Wizards of the Coast hates monks and they should just delete them from the game if they don't like them. Just get rid of them if you don't like them.
Sure.
But that's pretty good. I mean, it's once per long rest, so it's not crazy strong. That's kind of in line with what I expect from a racial ability. I'd say the rest of this is a little on the stronger side for racial abilities.
Yeah.
And lastly, we have the metallic dragons, which once again is going to be a lot of the same stuff. You get humanoid, they're medium, walking speed of 30, and they choose an ancestry, which those are brass, bronze, copper, gold, and silver, which just line up with different element types. And they get a breath weapon, which works in the same way, but it is a 15-foot cone, just like the gem dragons. And they also get the addition of... so the addition that they get to their breath weapon is at 5th level, they get some variation to it. So it's still a 15-foot cone, but they get to either do this envenenating breath, where each creature in the cone must succeed on a con saving throw or become incapacitated until the start of your next turn, or they get repulsion breath, where each creature in the cone must succeed on a strength saving throw or be pushed 20 feet away from you and be knocked prone. And once they do this specific variation, they can't do it again until they finish a long rest.
Yeah, it is completely unique. It does not take up a use of the regular breath weapon. It's not like an addition, it's a separate thing.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, now you could Fusroda.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
Neat. I love it.
Todd Howard came down from the heavens and put Skyrim in 5th edition. How did he do it? And then, of course, they also get Draconic Resistance. They have resistance to the damage type associated with their metallic ancestry. So this one, I don't know if the metallic breath weapon is like being able to use that once per long rest is better than flying, but I'll say it's comparable. Incapacitated for an entire turn is really, really strong.
Yeah, well, it's just can't take actions or reactions.
I think that's really strong.
Yeah, I mean, it's no advantage on attacks or anything like that. No automatically failing any saves.
So keep in mind, again...
Raw, they can move.
Still fine. Losing an entire turn of actions and reactions is strong, especially in a area of effect. The fact that it can get 3, 4, I mean, a couple of creatures. Realistically, it'll get 2, maybe 3. that can shut down an encounter. Like, you realize there's probably only 6 or so rounds in a combat, give or take 2 or 3. But completely taking away the action economy there really swings it in your favor, especially if you're doing it on like a spellcaster. And it doesn't even take your character's entire action. It takes one of the attack actions. So on a melee character that has 2, with a fighter 3, maybe 4 attacks per turn, this is a really small price to pay for a lot of utility.
For sure, because especially since it's a racial feature, which are usually not that great.
No.
And then this will definitely get used.
All the time.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I will say, I like the variation in these races, and then it adds something to the Dragonborn, a race that I didn't particularly find much affinity for beforehand. But I also don't know if I love this direction. I don't want to see every single new race being so much stronger than the existing ones, because it detracts from what I find interesting about the races, which is having a cultural significance in your game. And I think it was a positive step when in Tasha's they allowed you to just change around the ability score, because it makes characters focus more on or less on the mechanical side and more on the what does this race bring to my character. And this seems to be going in the opposite direction. So I don't like that.
I mean, I don't think it takes away from that. Because like all the lore and everything's still there.
Yeah, but when specific races are significantly stronger than others, you're going to have people min-maxing in that direction.
Sure.
Where maybe somebody's like, well, I don't want to play a gem Dragonborn, even though it might fit my character and I've got some cool ideas for it, because it's not as good for a spellcaster as it is for a martial.
Right.
And it's like, oh, well, that's not the point. Like, you're supposed to ignore that.
Right.
And like, oh, I'd really get more benefit out of a halfling, because I get, the lucky feature. Stupid lucky feature.
I don't know. Overall, I like the changes. I think the Dragonborn was like a seriously underwhelming race.
That's fair.
I didn't see it get much play, and now here all of a sudden they're pretty great. So I'm fine with it making the player handbook Dragonborn obsolete, because it was kind of shit anyways.
Yeah, I will 100% agree with that. I don't think we've had anybody want to play a Dragonborn at our table. I think I left it like open as like a, if you want, let me know and we can work something out. It's definitely not supposed to be like a all across everywhere you look there's a Dragonborn. But I would definitely push them to use this over the player's handbook version.
Right. Yeah. Any other thoughts on the 3 new Dragonborn races?
I'm pretty much in agreement. I kind of lean towards the anti this. I just kind of want to avoid the arms race. Because I think this is, especially in the hands of a martial character, good enough that it's going to be... It's just really, really good.
It's a little play style defining, which isn't what races should generally be.
And I think the tendency that is emerging out of Wizards of the Coast is, I feel like low-level play, they've come to understand its importance. And this is something that comes online at level 1. Every table with a Dragonborn gets to see this in play. So I can see them leaning into that a bit, and I have mixed feelings. But
yeah, we might be noticing a bit of an awkward time before this new 5.5 or whatever it's called comes out and does like a, I don't know, whatever it does, right? Like, we really don't know.
There's not a lot of
well, yeah, if you look at the intro to this, it's they're saying the Dragonborn race in the player's handbook is distinct from this. It's not. It's just worse.
Right. And I think that's what we have kept seeing, where a lot of things in Player's Handbook have just been worse, because there has been, for the most part, good power creep. In the Player's Handbook, it's not like there was a ton of overly powerful things. It's that there were some things that were so obviously bad that it needed power boost. So now we have like so many times where you look at one subclass, no, Twilight Cleric and Peace Domain aren't worth bringing up. That's a different problem. But you'll get modern subclasses.
I love that you're saying this, like, and we just got done with a rant about the Descendant Dragon Monk and the Twilight Cleric, and it's like they're still doing it.
They're still making really weak stuff, but it's just for the monk. Everything else they've made strong stuff. So yeah, I don't know.
In terms of subclass options, I've seen Rangers is the big one.
Yeah, they have definitely
the new
gotten a lot
subclasses have definitely saved that class.
Yes, and that is purely to a benefit. But yeah, we're just seeing a lot of disparity between Player's Handbook and current release, and to some extent, we just kind of have to deal with it. But it feels a little awkward. Mm-hmm. And most people don't think about this because they're not getting on a podcast and forcing themselves to talk about D&D for an hour at gunpoint. All right. So that's it around the races. Do you want to move to the feats?
Yeah. All right. So next we'll talk about the Draconic Feats. These are, again, added in Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. And
make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and do all that stuff. I waited specifically till you were talking to say that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Everybody knows good content is talking over each other.
Right. All right, so the Draconic Feats, there's 3 new ones added in Fizban's Treasury of Dragons as part of the character creation options. These follow the exact rules of feats, where when you get an ability score improvement, instead of taking that, you could take a feat instead if you meet the prerequisites. None of these have prerequisites. So these are the Gift of Chromatic Dragon, Gem Dragon, or Metallic Dragon. Follows the exact same thing. Makes a lot of sense. We'll just cover each one in order. First is Gift of the Chromatic Dragon. You've manifested some of the power of chromatic dragons, granting you the following benefits. Chromatic Infusion. As a bonus action, you can touch a simple or martial weapon and infuse it with one of the following damage types: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. For the next minute, the weapon deals an extra 1d4 damage of the chosen type when it hits. After you use this bonus action, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Then you also get Reactive Resistance. When you take acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison damage, you can use your reaction to give yourself resistance to the instance of damage. You can use this reaction a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain them all on a long rest.
Once again, why go monk?
Right? I like this feat a lot. The Reactive Resistance is fantastic. It's a lot like Absorb Elements, which is a first level spell. And here you just get it for free up to your proficiency bonus.
Yeah, I have a not a love-hate relationship with feats, but there's definitely a lot of feats out there that are full feats, meaning they don't give an ability score, and they just don't deserve it. This is one that deserves it. I think it's good. The extra D4 damage is nice.
It's a little weak. It doesn't scale at all. That's what bothers me.
Yeah. I also don't like the fact that it's once per long rest. That part isn't too great. And could see it maybe being up to proficiency bonus. But the reactive resistance is really strong, and I think is going to come up. You're probably going to use every single one of those every single time, because you just should. If you take elemental damage, just use it.
For sure. Yeah, for the Chromatic Infusion, the extra D4, either they needed to up the damage dice and have it scale, or leave it weaker, but then use it more.
And I would probably go towards the more, just because it would be, I don't know, it's more interesting than just having one time per day where you do a little bit extra damage.
Right. All right, next. Did you have any more on that?
Sorry, I was just going to say, so maybe I take back my it should be a full feat thing just a little bit. It's like a 3/4 feat.
Sure, yeah. All right, next is Gift of the Gem Dragon. I almost said Gem Dragon. It's the new GIF versus GIF. Gem again.
Actually, the original Gem Dragon wanted to be pronounced Gem, so.
I think it's Gem Dragon.
All right, so you manifested some of the powers of a Gem Dragon. So you get an ability score increase of Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma by 1. So it's that signal. This is half a feat. And then you get Telekinetic Reprisal. When you take damage from a creature that is within 10 feet of you, you can use your reaction to emanate telekinetic energy. The creature that dealt damage to you must make a strength saving throw. The DC equals 8 plus your proficiency, plus the ability modifier and score increased by this feat. On a failed save, the creature takes 2d8 force damage and is pushed 10 feet away from you. On a success, the creature takes half as much damage and isn't pushed. You can use this reaction a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and get back on a long rest.
Yeah, so I really love feats that are tailored towards spellcasters because I think they are often pushed in the warcaster direction too much. Warcaster is a feat from the player's handbook that basically allows you to cast a spell as a reaction for like opportunity attacks and also only have like one hand free to cast spells and everything. I forget what the full extent of it is at this point, but it's very, very strong.
Yeah.
Is that the one that gives you advantage on concentration checks too?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
The advantage of concentration checks, and yeah, you could cast spells with your hands full. Basically.
There we go. That was the big thing. So the fact that this is tailored towards intelligence, wisdom, or charisma obviously says that this is for spellcasters and gives them just a little bit of defensive capabilities. Being able to push them 10 feet away is, in my opinion, more important than the 2d8 damage that you even could potentially do.
Right. That's another one. I think damage needs to scale. If you take this like variant human or something and get it at first, or you don't even do variant human anymore, you can just do build a race and Tasha's and pick a feat. Get it right away at level 1. Great. Pick it at level 4, still pretty good. 8, 12, 16, like it really starts, that damage kind of starts becoming negligible.
It's true, but that's why I'm saying I don't think the damage is the point of the feat in my eyes. The ability to keep yourself out of melee range and keep your mobility after something ends its turn getting to you is pretty darn helpful. And it might even, if they're out of movement, completely ruin the rest of their turn. If it runs, 30 feet out of movement right in your grill, and then you push it back 10 feet, then there you go. That's it. It can't take its second attack or third or fourth or whatever it has, and no opportunity attack when you get your turn and can move.
Sure. I'm worried that's a little too situational, though, because if they have movement, then they just take a step forward.
They would need at least 5, right? Or sorry,
10,
at least 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess from my perspective, that comes up a lot.
Yeah, and no reach. But
yeah. That also comes up a lot. Reach is not something that's on every monster.
That's true.
Yeah, it's still... I guess I would need to see it in play,
Yeah.
but I feel like there's a lot of
I'm happy
times.
it's half a feat that you still get the ability score with it.
Right, that's fair.
That makes it. Yeah, especially if you've got an odd number playing around for picking this. It's like, sure, okay. All right, and then finally, Gift of the Metallic Dragon. You manifest some powers of the Metallic Dragon. Gain the following benefits. Draconic Healing. You learn Cure Wounds spell. You can cast the spell without expending a spell slot. Once you cast the spell in this way, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. You can also cast the spell using spell slots you have. The spell casting ability is Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma. When you cast it with this feat, chosen when you gain this feat. We'll see what the rest of it is.
Yeah.
Protective Wings. You can manifest protective wings that can shield you or others. When you or another creature you can see within 5 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to manifest spectral wings from your back for a moment. You grant a bonus to the target's AC equal to your proficiency bonus against the attack roll, potentially causing it to miss. You can use this reaction a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain them all on a long rest.
So I think that's where the power comes from of this. The Cure Wounds is not that important.
No, I guess if you're a non-spellcaster, it's kind of neat. It's like, all right, here's a little spell. A once per, long rest?
Yeah, once per
Cure
long rest,
Wounds,
you can bring somebody
level
back
one.
from unconscious.
Yeah.
And that's all it should be used for.
Yeah. The Protective Wings is definitely neat. I don't like how it's used even if the attack still hits. That's kind of a design style we've been seeing fall away, where it's that sort of thing where it's like if you use this and that it doesn't make a difference, then it's like it doesn't use up the feature.
Yeah, so this
does.
This falls into the exact same realm as the shield spell, where it is table dependent because there has not been a solid ruling on whether or not the person is supposed to know the number of the roll and whether or not using this feature will cause the attack to miss.
Right.
And that is, in my eyes, a really big issue and something that should have been addressed before they put this out because there's a lot of back and forth with S.H.I.E.L.D. I believe that the unofficial ruling from Lord Emperor, or God Emperor, sorry, God Emperor Jeremy Crawford is that you are supposed to know the rolled number before you use S.H.I.E.L.D. So
that's how we play it.
And that is how we play it, and I like that. I think that is better than... Honestly, it just fits the flow so much better of gameplay, and that's the main reason that we do it, is it's really awkward to roll, say, the attack hits, and then look out for everybody. Is anybody going to say anything? No? Okay. All right, now I'm going to roll damage. It's easier just to shout out the number, and if somebody wants to shield, just say shield. It's fine.
Right.
And I would put this in the exact same realm where if you're playing it that way at your table, this is pretty good, and you're not going to waste it.
It's super good. Especially, you can do it for yourself or an ally.
Yes.
That's great.
Fantastic.
I like that a lot. It'd definitely be used in all of these per long rest, per adventuring day.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that it scales on proficiency in two different ways. It gets stronger as your proficiency bonus goes up, and you get more uses as your proficiency bonus goes up. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I love that, but it definitely keeps it useful throughout your entire use of the feat.
For sure.
I think this is objectively worse than the things it mimics, I guess would be the best way to put it. It's good, but like if you are doing this for yourself, that's the idea, and probably you're like a caster, this is not better than S.H.I.E.L.D.
Correct.
It's maybe cheaper than S.H.I.E.L.D., but it's not better. And if you're a up in the frontline fighter, the fighting style protection is probably better than this too.
So protection, you do it before the roll, and it imposes disadvantage, which mathematically works out to -5 on the attack. This one is after it hits, you then use it. So there's always the chance of it just missing anyways. I don't know if that makes it worth it. Yeah, they're just different enough.
But regarding the fact that it's less good than S.H.I.E.L.D., I totally agree, because it's not until 13th level that your proficiency bonus goes up to +5, which is what S.H.I.E.L.D. grants for a first level spell. Something that is, by mid-levels, kind of disposable for full spellcasters. Now, I do still think, though, that for martial characters, this is just good and just useful. There's no argument around it, even if you're just using it on yourself, because the protection fighting style has to be on somebody that is within 5 feet of you. This grants you the versatility to use it on yourself when it's necessary, and if you're a frontline fighter, I think there's going to be a lot more times where the 2, 3, 4 AC makes a difference in whether or not you're getting hit.
Right, and also protection, you have to have a shield. This is, whatever.
Yeah, you just have
you could be naked and still do it.
Yes.
I don't know why you would be, but
just dong out, unfurling your wings and wrapping them around people.
All you need is your protective wings. It's also probably, I mean, this is the same case for the protection fighting style. A lot of things get multi-attack, and this sort of, it's not bad to only get hit one less time, but it's not perfect.
You actually have a great point, though, where usually, or S.H.I.E.L.D. gives you the AC for the rest of your turn. This is just on a single attack. Yes, for the rest of the round.
Which is a big difference.
Yes, that is a huge difference.
Because every attack against you then.
I forgot about that. Or didn't take that into consideration.
Yeah, and S.H.I.E.L.D. is absolutely better, but that's a spell.
Right.
This isn't.
Right.
This is just a feat.
I stand by my...
You can get spells through feats.
Yeah, but like once per long rest.
Yeah. I will concede that once per long rest S.H.I.E.L.D. is probably not better than this.
Yes.
but it's there. And to kind of circle back to what we had in Chromatic Dragons, reactive resistance, looking a lot like Absorb Elements, has the same thing going for it. Mm-hmm. But that's a little bit different in the sense that like the thing you're absorbing is often a one per round thing, a dragon's breath or a hand grenade, whereas this is a beating that's going to continue for 6 seconds.
Right.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, and I guess that's why it scales so much. So that later on, you do have 6 uses of it. Yeah, once you get to high levels, you have 6 uses of it, and it adds 6 AC. That's kind of necessary for the fact that multi-attack is coming up. You're going to need to use it more often. So, I don't know. Overall, I think for a feat, I get why we're comparing it to Shield, but it's probably not entirely fair because spells versus feats are a little odd. The resource cost is on total opposite sides of the spectrum.
Right. Yeah, they're hard to compare.
But I think this would get a lot of use. I think it would be fun above all. And for that reason, I'm totally good with it. But I would suggest it for martial characters over spellcasters. For spellcasters, you probably just want to get shield. And most can.
Right.
And cure wounds, I guess.
That just feels like they taped it on.
Right. It's a free get someone up from being unconscious.
Yeah, and I'm good with that. That's honestly great. Really helpful. If you're the fighter and your healers go down, you're going to be damn happy you've got the Gift of the Metallic Dragon. Mm-hmm. And another way to use these that I always love is these are and I know there's like a whole section on this in Fizbans, but these are great gifts to give from a dragon. They're called Gift of the X Dragon for a reason. If I gave this as a boon to my party or like a member of the party because they completed a quest and did something for a dragon, I don't feel like I'm going to be breaking the game by giving them Gift of the Metallic Dragon. And same with Chromatic and Gift of the Gem. And at least with Chromatic, you could definitely choose which element type it is, and then you might even be limiting them a little bit, which is kind of nice. If you're like, I don't want you to have fire, that's too, I don't know, common or something. Here you go. You got poison. It's more resistant. Right. Deal with it. So overall, I think some pretty good feats, good additions, contenders for actual choices, which a lot of times don't come up. And also they have a lot of flavor associated with them, which some feats really don't. This I would expect the player to have some reason that they're pulling from dragons. That's not just like a normal thing that you just get.
That would be so annoying. You're just like a wizard, like a regular ass human wizard in a world that doesn't have much to do with dragons, and you level up and you're level 8. And it's like, you know what? I'm gonna skip my ability score. I'm gonna pick Gift of the Gem Dragon.
Oh, okay. How did you get that?
Gem dragons aren't even in this world.
Yeah. So definitely agree with that, and I think that's a benefit in my opinion. Is that like, hey, look for the flavor within the feat as well, instead of it just being a kind of silly mechanical thing that doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like ones like Heavy Armor Master, which I know I've taken in the past, but it was really, really hard to be like, what are the role-playing implications of Heavy Armor Master? I trained with heavy armor. Moving on.
I say, you just got more comfortable with it.
Yeah. I got comfortable just taking a beating. Perfect.
All right. Those are the feats. Moving on. Next up, we got spells.
Okay, so a couple of new spells in Fizbans here. The first one is a 3rd level spell, and I cannot pronounce it, so we're off to a great start. Ashar Delon's Stride. Ashar Delon's Stride. Say it with me at home, folks. It's a sing-along. So, Ashar Delon's Stride has the casting time of a bonus action, range of self, verbal and somatic components. It is concentration and lasts up to a minute. The billowing flames of a...
Third level spell. That's important.
I started with that.
Did you?
Yes.
I think you said it.
I said it's a 3rd level spell. Astral Delon's Stride.
Nah, my bad. All right, I derailed you. Go on.
The The billowing flames of a dragon blast from your feet, granting you explosive speed. Damn it. What is going on, guys?
Nothing good.
Did I start this spell over?
I'm keeping that.
Oh, damn it. All right, you get explosive speed. For the duration, your speed increases by 20 feet, and moving doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. When you move within 5 feet of a creature or an object that isn't being worn or carried, it takes 1d6 fire damage from your trail of heat. A creature or object can take this damage only once during a turn. At higher levels, 4th and above, you increase your speed by 5 feet for each spell slot, and the spell deals an additional 1d6 fire damage for each spell slot upcast as well. So a lot going on with this spell.
Mm-hmm. And it's artificers, rangers, sorcerers, and wizards that get this.
Thank you.
Yes. So it's neat. It's fun. I love the flavor of it. I love the imagery of it. I don't know if it's worth a 3rd level.
I don't feel like it fits with the classes given besides Ranger. And I don't mean from a thematic standpoint. I mean from a play standpoint. I think that a Ranger, especially a melee Ranger, would get some good use out of this. I think a Sorcerer and a Wizard definitely have better things to concentrate on and aren't concerned about their speed being increased. They're not concerned about... They might be a little concerned about opportunity attacks, but they're definitely not concerned about running by creatures to deal 1d6 fire damage.
Yeah, I'm with you. But then Rangers get a 1st level spell, Zephyr Strike, which is concentration minute bonus action. You move like the wind. Until the spell ends, you don't provoke opportunity attacks. And then once before the spell ends, you can give yourself advantage on a weapon roll. During that attack, you deal an extra 1d8 force damage on a hit. And whether you hit or miss, your speed increases by 30 feet until the end of that turn. It's like, so you're comparing it to that, and it's 1st level versus 3rd level.
Sure. So this
And
only
it's-
increases your speed by 20.
Yeah, but it's for the whole minute, though. So it's different. It's a little hard to compare.
Yeah.
To me, the big thing is the not provoking opportunity attacks, and they both do that.
Right. But
Zephyr Strike has 1 turn where you could choose to like boost it for 30 speed, whereas it's 20 every turn. So I would say the 20 every turn is better.
right.
And then the trail of like 1d6 fire damage versus you get advantage on an attack and get to do an extra 1d8. Those damage boosts might kind of work out
Also, with this,
to be the same.
the 1d6 fire damage, there's no save associated with it.
Oh, that's cool.
So you
You're
just
right, yeah.
do 1d6 fire damage for free, or more if you're upcasting it. I think my issue with this is that it's range of self. I could almost see wanting to cast this on like the monk and being like, "Oh, go, be free,
Go
get your
zippity
20
doo
extra
dah.
You know what
speed."
would be super friggin' cool? This, but not a spell, a feature of a dragon-themed monk. A play-defining feature, if you will. Doing
Shut
their
up.
martial arts
Shut
type
up.
as they run by every single creature
Shut
on the
up, Will!
battlefield.
Drop it! Just drop it!
It's like they're
monk's
hiding
not
all
real,
the things
okay?
we'd want in the friggin'
It's
class.
conspiracy.
through
The monk's
battle.
not real. The monk cannot hurt you, Jared. It's okay.
I am with you, Will. I think that would be a really, really awesome feature for the for a dragon monk. In theory, if they ever made a dragon monk, I think that would be pretty cool. I like that idea as like a play style defining. Is like you're basically expected to be running around the battlefield trying to do this damage. It reminds me a lot of when I played a high level drunken monk, and the entire point was use flurry of blows and hit 7 creatures with it. Like if you do that, congrats, you won the encounter. Doesn't matter if any of them hit even. It was just fun to have the opportunity. I could see something along those lines. But yeah, I mean, for a sorcerer and a wizard, though, I mean, just so many better things to use your 3rd level spell on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of like get out of the shit spell. You get surrounded, you cast this, you blast out of there. Like, that's kind of cool. You damage
That's-
things as you leave.
Then I would almost
Like,
rather...
It's
It's
also
kinda
just
neat.
bad.
Yeah, I mean, there are better spells for it, like Thunderstep and stuff. I don't know what level Thunderstep is, though. Or you could just, Misty Step.
Okay, so treating it like that actually is a good conversation. Misty Step is a bonus action. This is a bonus action. Misty Step is second level. This is third level. If you use this like Misty Step, then you are able to exit from where you are, no opportunity attacks, and do 1d6 damage. I guess looking at it as a level down Thunder Step makes this more interesting to me, except I would rather it, in that case, be one turn and not concentration.
Yeah.
Because then it does feel
I was
like an
about to say,
escape
then
card.
you could just only do it for one turn and drop the concentration, but if you're concentrating on something else,
Then it
screws you.
sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's like right on that edge.
Right. Which is good. I'd rather
which
it
is
be on the
okay.
edge
Yeah.
than obviously good or
Like I
bad.
said, it sounds fun though, just like a neat spell. It's like the first time you cast this, it's going to be great for the table.
Yeah.
Especially you could play it up kind of like a Looney Tunes thing. You just like
Oh, like your feet start moving so fast you light a fire behind you?
yes, or it's like you're just literally skidding on the ground. It's like rocket boots engaged and just like blasting across the battlefield.
That'd be good for Artificer.
I would say, yeah, and they get it. So okay, yeah, actually, yeah. You said Ranger's the only one. Artificer would be okay with this too, like a Battlesmith or an Armorer,
They don't get many concentration spells,
right?
which is weird. Like, I always expect them to, but Artificers are half-casters. And most half-casters don't get, like, a ton of concentration spells.
Right.
All right,
yeah,
next one.
That's neat. Yeah, next, Draconic Transformation. We're just doing this alphabetically as it's listed, so we're jumping around here in level. This is a 7th level transmutation spell, which is given to druids, sorcerer, and wizards. It's a casting time of a bonus action, range of self, visual, somatic, and material components, and you need a dragon, statuettes worth at least 500 gold. It doesn't consume it though, so you just need it one time, and it's concentration up to a minute. With a roar, you draw on the magic of dragons to transform yourself, taking on draconic features. You gain the following benefits until the spell ends. Blind sight. You have blind sight with a range of 30 feet. Within that range, it just goes on to explain what blind sight is. You can effectively see anything within 30 feet that isn't behind total cover, even if you're blinded or in darkness, and you can see invisible creatures if they're not actively hiding from you. For those of you who did not see our Dragon Monk episode, yes, I think that's like the third time we're going to link it this episode.
Yeah.
But we were complaining that their like 17th level subclass Capstone is getting like a 10-foot blind sight,
Yep.
which is just not that great.
Nope.
And like here's a better way to do it. Though it's a 7th level spell, so that's pretty high up there.
Yeah, like something you'd expect to be able to cast when you're 17th level.
Right.
I mean, it's
17th
setting a
level,
bit of
yeah.
a precedent that at 17th
Yeah.
level, 30 feet of blind sight is perfectly reasonable to have.
Right. Breath weapon. Sorry, moving on. So you get the blind sight, then you get breath weapon. When you cast a spell, use a bonus action on subsequent turns for the duration. You can exhale shimmering energy in a 60-foot cone. Each creature in the area must make a dex saving throw, taking 68 force damage. On a failed save, or half as much damage on a success. And then they get wings. Incorporeal wings sprout from your back, giving you a flying speed of 60 feet. So basically, if you could play something that gets you, like a marsh... What's that? It gets tough. If you can play something that could get to 7th level spells, you could be the Dragon Monk. Better. Dragon Monk. With 1 7th level spell.
Or at the very least, comparable. And doing things before they even get access to them, or doing things that they don't get access to, like a full flying speed. And maybe we just need to really have I think after this episode, we all need to agree to stop comparing things to the Ascendant Dragon Monk.
Sure.
Like, as a whole, because it's going to get tired really quickly. It's bad. We recognize it's bad.
Right.
But the fact that this is in the same book makes this egregious. Like, it is so obviously bad for the monk.
Yeah.
Talking about it from
Anyways.
a 7th level spell perspective, though, I think this is a good spell that offers a lot, though I don't see people generally taking these types of spells. And I don't know why.
For 7th level spells, are just kind of rare to get to. A full caster gets those at 13th. Then this one specifically, it's just Druid, Sorcerer, and Wizard. 3 classes Sorcerer and Wizard, at least 2 classes, I don't see getting a whole bunch of use out of this. Because at that point, they definitely have better things to concentrate on than being able to do a breath weapon to get blind sight.
And
a fly speed. Certain druids, maybe like a spore druid, like a more melee focused druid. This is kind of the spell where, again, if you could cast it on someone, it would be great. Cast it on your fighter or your barbarian or your paladin.
Yeah. That's actually something I'm finding kind of, I don't know about strongly frustrating, but it feels like these would be much more interesting spells if you could cast them on somebody else instead of it being range of self.
The temptation is very obvious, and the reason it's not that way is because it's just too powerful.
Correct.
You think?
It makes me want a meta magic feature though for the sorcerer that lets you.
That would be absurd.
Really?
Yes, it would be absurd because one of the limiting factors is that concentration. You can't really just do this in the back corner of a room. It's not that helpful. So you want to beat this out of whoever's concentrating on it. But if the person who receives this is like in the fray with all this stuff, it's just more powerful.
See, I don't know if I totally agree with that because with wings, you've got a 60-foot flying speed, which means you're able to be wherever you want. And then on top of that, you have a 60-foot cone breath weapon. You can literally fly 60 feet above and blast the battlefield below, and you are getting a giant... Actually, how does that work? If you fly 60 feet straight up and then shoot a 60-foot cone down, how does that change it? You're adding a Z-axis to the D&D board, and that confuses
they have
me.
it. It's 60 feet originates in all. Usually we just do it in a two-dimensional one comes up, but cones do have height to them. So in this case...
You'd have to... It would basically be a circumference at that point.
Yeah, at its maximum. Yeah, it goes 60 feet out, and every time goes...
Wider.
Yeah, which I think ends up being a lot more than 60 feet, but...
Yeah, so in theory, you could like...
It's a big space.
Sure. So that's a niche thing that doesn't come up much, but you can fly straight up and then just blast a cone of fire down, and 68 force damage is pretty good. Mm-hmm. Every turn is a bonus action.
Yeah, that's some power Fireball. If I think Fireball's top 86, so that's kind of...
So I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think this needs to be an up in the fray style one, like the one before, Ashar Dolan's Stride. That one seems like an up in the fray one, because you have to be moving, you have to be within 5 feet of enemies to get most value out of it. This one, stay back, blow fire, and have a good time.
Yeah, actually, I kind of missed the damage that this does. That's a lot of damage. And for a bonus action every single turn. Yeah, I could see this being worthwhile for sorcerers, wizards, and druids, depending on the situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's comparable to a fireball as a bonus action. I think a fireball's 8d6, though. This is 6d8.
Right.
There's 6s and 8s in there, so it's got to be about the same number, right? I didn't do the math, but I'm pretty sure.
All right, to any dice.
Can we do like a little pause, like piano break?
Right. All right, so average of 8d6 is 28 damage.
Okay.
Average of 68 is 27 damage.
So it's even better than a fireball.
No, one less.
Oh.
Not that it really matters.
I misheard you then.
Yeah. The 68, which is what this is 27. 86 is 28.
Okay, yeah.
It's the same. I mean,
yes, it's basically the same amount. So yes, it is a fireball every single turn as a bonus action, plus a fly speed, plus the blind sight, which honestly doesn't really mesh with the other two, but it's there. Blind sight, take it.
Yeah.
And it's only a bonus action to cast, which is pretty nice.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. I think I will actually say that while a lot of these like transformation spells, the high level casting transformation spells don't generally get used by casters, I could definitely justify concentrating on that.
Yes. Yeah, when you have a battlefield that's very crowded with enemies.
Yeah, won't be for long.
No.
All right.
Yeah, just flying up there, swooping down with your force damage breath weapon every turn. And on top of it, since it's just a bonus action, you can be dropping spell AoEs. You swoop down, breath weapon, throw a fireball as you go up.
Could you imagine that,
you're wrecking shit.
Like a battlefield style fight?
Oh yeah,
Like that's just fun to watch.
yes,
I'd love that.
yeah.
It is dangerous though, because
I would say, yeah, you're going to become
concentration
a target.
fly while you're doing this. You're going to get some attention.
Make sure you have Featherfall as well.
Right.
Next up is the 6th level spell, Fizban's Platinum Shield. This also takes 1 bonus action to cast. I don't know what's up with that. A lot of bonus action spells. Range of 60 feet. Components are verbal, somatic, and material. You need a platinum-plated dragon scale with at least 500 gold. Its concentration up to a minute. And you create a field of silvery light that surrounds a creature of your choice within range. You can choose yourself. The field sheds dim light out to 5 feet. While surrounded by the field, a creature gains the following benefits. They gain cover. Creature has half cover, which effectively adds +2 AC and +2 to dexterity saving throws. They get damage resistance. So the creature has resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, and poison damage. And then they have evasion. If the creature is subjected to an effect that allows it to make a dexterity saving throw to take only half damage, the creature instead takes no damage. If it succeeds on the saving throw... I said that weird. Weird inflection. But if they succeed on the saving throw, they take no damage. If they fail, they still only take half damage. And as a bonus action on subsequent turns, you can move the field to another creature within 60 feet of the field. Another spell with a lot going on.
Yeah. I think this would be great on a dragon fight.
Yes.
Because it's going to help a ton against their devastating breath weapons. And then the +2 to AC and dex saving throws, yeah.
Yeah, the
is nice.
Damage resistance, +2 to dex saves, and then evasion even if you fail. Now that said, not every dragon does dexterity saving throws. It's just
That's true.
Fire, lightning. I think those are the only 2 that are dex.
Okay. And then you get resistance to the others, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is still definitely good.
Yeah. And obviously also other situations outside of dragon fights, but I think you need that elemental aspect to be there to make it worth it because it's a 6th level spell. You need all 3 features of it to be firing to make it worth the 6th level slot, I think.
Yeah. It's a little interesting to me that this is the first time I've ever seen evasion used as a spell.
Yeah.
It is always just a class feature for monks and rogues. But Wizards of the Coast obviously wanted to decrease the monk class identity even further and decided that it needs to be very easy for wizards, sorcerers, and who else? Who gets this?
It's just sorcerer wizard.
Okay, just
That's
those
the
2.
spell. That's it. Yeah.
Well, good. Make your wizard a better monk than a monk.
Yeah. And that one's a stretch. But I think rangers also get evasion. Like the hunter ranger really far around. Don't they get evasion?
I don't know.
Yeah, at 15th, they could pick evasion.
Anything else around this spell, though?
Since it's a 6th level slot, you need to consider what it's competing with. Like a dominate monster, hold monster, haste. Like there are some big spells you're competing with. So that's why I was saying I think if you could get all 3 aspects covered, damage resistance and evasion, like kind of coming online and being used each round when the spell is cast, it's worth it. Otherwise, it's probably best to do something else.
Yeah, spells like this I find more interesting if you specifically have a wizard in the party. Like I can craft a specific narrative around this spell better than I think anybody could just like pick it up. If you were about to go fight a red dragon and your party was informed that there is a spell that might be very useful to them, and then they have to go then do a quest in order to receive this specific spell that a wizard can copy down and have in their book, or even just receive that spell scroll, because it doesn't need to be exactly like this, or exactly for the class, then that to me is a little bit more interesting than... Or not even just interesting, just useful. Like I don't see somebody just picking this up and saying, this is going to come up, this is going to happen, so I want to be ready for it. And it's the reason why a lot of spells just don't get used. It's just they become too situational. Unless you're preparing for that situation, it's not worth getting.
Yeah.
So maybe it's in a spell book, maybe it's in a scroll that you find, and if you have a wizard in the party, maybe they copy it down and one day it becomes useful. But I agree, I don't think this is going to be a go-to spell. It's not as universally viable as things like haste, which is what, third level spell?
I think it's third.
It's third, yeah.
No, pretty sure.
We haven't had
It was fourth.
No.
We haven't actually had anyone of haste in a while.
We haven't. It's been nice.
Haste is third. Yeah. Or like greater invisibility, which is fifth. I said dominate monster, that's eighth, but so.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, greater invisibility is fourth, but I'm wondering with this, so sorcerers get if any meta magics interact with it, and not really.
No,
I don't think you could Schwinn it, right?
Because there's not a specific
Only targets
target.
one creature. No, yeah, it's a range, so you can't Schwinn it. I mean, subtle spell's pointless for it. It's already a bonus action, so no need to quicken it. Right? It is a bonus
Correct.
action.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you could double its range. You could double its duration from 1 minute to 2 minutes, but
Nah.
you kind of at that point, it's like, it's not worth it. Yeah.
So, all right, it's a spell. No issues with that.
Yeah.
Next one's
Next.
yours.
All right. Next is.
That's why I gave it to you.
Nethers.
Yes.
I'm going with Nethers. Nethers Mischief. It's a second level illusion spell, and Bard, Sorcerer, and Wizards get this. Cast down one action, range of 60 feet. Somatic and material components. A piece of crest from an apple pie. Yummy. Concentration up to 1 minute. You fill a 20-foot cube you can see within range with Fey and Draconic magic. Roll on the Mischievous Surge table to determine the magical effects produced, and roll again at the start of each of your turns until the spell ends. You can move the cube up to 10 feet before you roll. So the Surge table, it's a D4. On a 1, the smell of apple pie fills the air, and each creature in the cube must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or become charmed by you until the start of your next turn. On a 2, bouquet of flowers appear all around, and each creature in the cube must succeed on a dex saving throw or be blinded until the start of your next turn as the flowers spray water in their faces. On a 3, each creature in the cube must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or begin giggling until the start of your next turn. A giggling creature is incapacitated and uses all its movements to move in a random direction. Number 4, drops of molasses hover in the cube, making it difficult terrain until the start of your next turn. It's an interesting one. Very flavorful. I'm assuming there's somewhere in this book that there is. Obviously, we didn't read through in detail like the entirety of the book. I'm assuming that there is talked about in here, and so it makes a lot of sense from whoever they are.
Maybe, but regardless, mechanically speaking, I think it's fun, and
Yeah.
I think that it is a spell that would be. I would encourage somebody who is looking for more of the whimsical aspects of D&D and just kind of goofy. Like, yes, there's good stuff in there, and I don't think it sacrifices the positive uses for the fun aspect, but like some people enjoy the chaos in spells, you know, the Wild Magic Surge, Wild Magic Barbarian, like those are there for the people who just want to roll and see what happens. And I think for that it's really good. Second level only. It is concentration, but the fact that you're able to move the cube up to 10 feet before you roll is nice. And the fact that it can be each of these abilities is nice. None of them are bad. I wouldn't be upset by any number I roll.
Yeah, they all serve the purpose of debuffing an area of enemies.
Yes.
Just in different ways. Yeah, you got a grouping of like martial combatants, and you kind of want to shut them down and debuff them. Casting this on them, that'll happen. Whether
Right.
they're charmed and can't attack you. Actually, that was probably the most situational, because if you're not there in the cube, it doesn't matter. They're charmed by you, so they can't attack you. But like if you're, a bard, sorcerer, or wizard who has this, and you're casting it from the back, they're just going to attack someone else.
Yeah.
This is not like a dominate. It's just, yeah. So that one's kind of crappy. The other ones are fine. Blinded, incapacitated, difficult terrain. It'll impact them.
Sure. Yeah, and I will by no means say that this is like the strongest second level spell I've ever seen. It's unique, it's interesting, and I think above all it's fun. And for that it gets some points.
Sure. All right, have fun with the next name.
There has to be a pronunciation guide that we missed. Rowlotham's Psychic Lance. That sound right?
Good enough.
All right, Rowlotham's Psychic Lance is a 4th level enchantment spell. Casting time 1 action, range of 120 feet, only verbal components, and it is an instantaneous effect. You unleash a shimmering lance of psychic power from your forehead at a creature that you can see within range. Alternatively, you can utter a creature's name. If the name target is within range, it becomes the spell's target even if you can't see it. If the name target isn't within range, the lance dissipates without effect. So, the target must make an intelligence saving throw. On a failed save, the target takes 7d6 psychic damage and is incapacitated until the start of your next turn. On a successful save, the creature takes half damage and is not incapacitated, and this can be upcast for an additional 1d6 damage per spell slot above 4th.
I love it. I think that's a cool spell.
Agreed. And the name utterance part is totally unique and really, really cool, and something I would absolutely love to give to a boss. Oh my god. Where the party's like, maybe the rogue is like hiding and they're like, oh, I'm fine. And they're like, oh, come out, Nathaniel, which I think I'm probably pulling from the previous name. And then just boom, they take psychic damage and they're like, okay, I'm not safe. Nowhere is safe.
No. And then incapacitated.
Yeah.
Yeah, intelligence saving throws are usually not super high, even for monsters. 76 psychic damage is nothing to scoff at. And then incapacitated for a turn.
Yeah.
It's a cool spell. And then I get Final Fantasy vibes from it. That's common lance attacks in like various Final Fantasy games that are like 10 and then 14 has that type of thing where it's like they jump up into the air for their turn and kind of disappear for the round, and then when it's their turn again, this lance shoots down from the heavens and like pierces into something, and then like come down and land next to it, yank it out, and do a backflip back into line.
Nice.
That's Final Fantasy, so obviously it's not going to be exactly that, but
no, I'd probably flavor it that way.
I get that feeling when I'm reading this. It's like, yeah, that's how I see this one.
But instead of driving a lance into the person, it drives it into their mind. Sure. Or unless you're saying in Final Fantasy they are using a mind lance. I don't know.
No, they're not.
Okay.
No.
No, that's cool. Big fan of this. I think it would be a great addition. I didn't mention it is available for bard, sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards.
Good list.
Yeah, good list. I'm trying to think if it would be useful for a warlock or not. I feel like it's hard to justify a single casting time warlock spell.
Yeah. Yeah, one damage person.
So few spells. Gotta concentrate.
Damage, yeah. And then, that's enough then there. Like, so with being on Wizard, can Arcane Tricksters get this? Do they get to 4th level spells?
Yeah.
And like Eldritch Knights?
Super high level,
I don't know if they
yes.
got that high.
They do.
Okay.
Yeah, they cap out at
cool
5th.
Stuff. No, they cap out at 4th. At 19th level, they get their first 4th level spell.
Sorry, you're right. They're 3rd casters.
Yeah. So, all right, maybe not worth it for that, but no. Cool
next up?
Yep. Next is Rhymes Binding Ice, 2nd level evocation spell given to just sorcerers and wizards. It's a 1 action casting time, range of self of 30-foot cone. Components are somatic and material, a vial of meltwater. Duration's instantaneous. A burst of cold energy emanates from you in a 30-foot cone. Each creature in that area must make a con save throw, or on a failed save, the creature takes 3d8 cold damage and is hindered by ice formations for 1 minute, or until it or another creature within its reach of it uses an action to break away the ice. A creature hindered by ice has its speed reduced to 0. On a successful save, a creature takes half as much damage and isn't hindered by ice. You could upcast this, so at 3rd level, it goes up by 1d8 cold damage for each slot above 2nd. Yeah, 3rd level or higher. Each slot above 2nd, it goes up by 1d8 cold damage.
Right. All right, so we've got a cone attack. I like cones. Covers a really big area. It's 30 foot. That's good. 3d8 damage at 2nd level. That's pretty good. Focuses on Constitution. Constitution's like the most commonly passed save. It's usually pretty high, as Will has found through his Spore Druid. Sorry, bud. And, that I think that all seems pretty great. And then with the addition of it drops their speed to 0 unless they use an action. Love it.
Yeah. No, definitely a cool spell. And yeah, I love how it's not a save to reduce it. It's like someone has to take up their entire action to break out of the ice. I like it when that's the option.
Right.
Because sometimes when it's like, they make a save at the start of your next turn and they pass, and it's like, oh, that was kind of worthless.
I also like seeing players' faces when they're trying to decide between whether or not they just like, do I stand still and just like accept I'm not going to move, or do I use my action to break out of it? And like, it never feels worth it. It never feels worth it. They keep standing still and they're like, I'm going to do this. And then, you do something to them that absolutely destroys them because they can't move. And you're like, yes, you should have done it. You should have used your action.
Right. And then the book here gives a little hint of a cool way to use this as a DM. And there's the art of a white dragon using this, and says rhymes binding ice adds insult to injury in the hands of a spellcasting white dragon, which is perfect. This is a cool spell to give to enemies.
Yeah.
Use against your party.
Yeah, definitely. That's what they don't specify on spells. It's not just players who get these.
Right. Definitely give this to enemies.
All right, and I think we've got our last one here with Summon Draconic Spirit. So this is a 5th level conjuration spell, casting time of 1 action, range of 60 feet, verbal somatic material components, and it does need an object worth 500 gold. That object is with an image of a dragon engraved on it, which it doesn't say it has to be like a high quality dragon. You could just get like a 500 gold material and just, I don't know, scratch a really goofy looking dragon on it. Like Dragon Tails looking motherfucker. And it lasts for an hour, and it is a concentration spell. For this, you call forth the Draconic Spirit. It manifests in an unoccupied space that you can see within range. This corporeal form uses the Draconic Spirit stat block. When you cast the spell, choose a family of dragon, either chromatic, gem, or metallic. The creature resembles a dragon of the chosen family, which determines certain traits in its stat block. The creature disappears when it drops to 0 HP or when the spell ends. The creature is an ally to you and your companions. In combat, it shares your initiative count and takes your turn immediately after you. It obeys verbal commands with no action required, and if you don't issue any commands, it takes the dodge action and uses its move to avoid danger. At higher levels, it can give some benefits to the stats, like extra damage, extra AC, and extra health, but we'll be mostly talking about it at the 5th level casting. Mm-hmm. I just got to read the stat block, don't I?
Well, I mean, it's the new standard summon spell.
Yes.
Tasha's added a bunch of these for Fae and Fiends and Elements and whatever. Here's the Dragon one.
Right. So
fitting that now it's here.
Yep. Comes out pretty great, though, for armor class. I mean, it gets 19 just as a base with the 5th level casting. That's really high for a summon.
Right. So it's 14 plus the level of the spell.
Right. And then HP is 50 plus 10 for each upcast level, spell level. Yeah. Speed of 30, fly of 60, swim of 30. The stats are just across the board pretty good. Of strength of 19, dex of 14, con 17, int 10, wisdom 14, and 14 charisma. I don't really know if you need charisma while this thing is summoned, but it's got it.
Saves.
Yeah. And then it's resistant. If it's a chromatic or metallic dragon, it's resistant to acid, cold, fire, lightning, and poison. If it's a gem dragon, it's resistant to force, necrotic, psychic, radiant, and thunder.
Both of those are nuts. I can't believe it's not an or. Like you have to pick one.
They probably realized it was too confusing. Like to just like keep narrowing it down and be like, all right, you've got these 3 options. And then of those 3 options, pick from these 6 options.
Right.
Which they're about to do in a second anyways. But it does have condition immunities for charm, frightened, and poisoned. And then it has blind sight out to 30 feet, dark vision out to 60, passive perception of 12, which doesn't matter. It understands Draconic and the language that you speak. No, the languages that you speak. Okay.
It speaks Draconic and understands the languages you speak.
That's a good way of putting it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it has a shared resistance ability. When you summon the dragon, choose one of its damage resistances. You have resistance to the chosen damage type until the spell ends. So if you want to have resistance to force damage or necrotic or acid or cold, you got a choice and you can get it.
Yep.
Which is kind of like it seems a little bit hidden to put that in the stat block, but that is really a major benefit to this spell. At 5th level, you can be resistant to any non-physical damage type if you want to.
Yeah.
Then we get to its actions. It does have multi-attack, makes a number of rend attacks equal to half the spell's level rounded down, and it uses its breath weapon. So at 5th level, it gets 2 of these, and its breath weapon. And then at 6th level, it would get 3 rend attacks. At 8th level, it would get 4. And if you get a 10th level spell, all bets are off. So rend is a melee attack, reach of 10 feet, 1d6 plus 4 plus the spell level's piercing damage. It's pretty good if you're doing that 3 times.
Yeah, I was going to say, so 1d6 plus 9 at its base level.
Yeah, or
That's
1d6 plus 10 at its 6th level, and you can do that 3 times.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth upcasting. And then a breath weapon. The dragon exhales destructive energy.
plus 30, jeez.
Sorry, what's that?
I'm sorry I interrupted you, but yeah, that comes out to 3d6 plus 30 damage from this thing.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Pretty good. And then the breath weapon is the dragon exhales destructive energy in a 30-foot cone. Each creature in that area must make a dex saving throw against your spell save DC. A creature takes 2d6 damage of a type this dragon has resistance to, your choice, on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. So
this is amazing. I mean,
yeah.
For a 5th level spell, this stat block is great. And you don't even have to choose between doing your 2 or 3 rends and a breath weapon. It's both. You do your rends and a breath weapon.
This is
every turn.
Better
19
than,
AC, 50 health.
This is better than the Ascendant Monk.
Well, yeah, no shit.
No, this dragon is a better dragon than the Ascendant Monk.
You are outshining an entire party member with a summon.
Yeah. This, in seriousness though, this does step on the toes a bit with the Drake Warden.
It does. But
that one's makes me a little upset because I like the Drake Warden, but I'm looking at this as like, man.
What does it cost for the Drake Warden to summon a dragon? A 1st level spell. This is a 5th level spell. So it's a little hard to compare when this takes... I mean, you can start doing it at 9th level, whereas the Ranger can start doing that at 3rd level. And then it continuously improves. Yeah. And I don't know.
It's just different. And then you're a Ranger with all of your Ranger stuff. And it's...
It doesn't take concentration either.
The base Drake Companion stat block is worse than this summon.
Correct.
That's for sure.
No, I think you'd need to compare it like at level. Because you get 9th level spells at 5th level. Sorry, other way around. You get 5th level spells at 9th. At 9th level. So I'd want to see how much like HP, how much AC, and how much damage you're doing with your Drake Warden.
Yeah. So like its armor class is 14 plus your proficiency bonus. And 9th, it's what, plus?
4.
It's 4?
Yeah.
Okay, so 1 less. Its health is 5 plus 5 times your Ranger level. No, that's similar too.
It's pretty similar. Yeah.
A 9th? Yeah, that's 50.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. All right. Maybe Wizards of the Coast paid attention to this one.
Somebody had their coffee. I mean, it might do a little less damage too. I do find it a bit disappointing that this takes no action economy to command the spirit, whereas the Drake Warden does take your bonus action to have it do anything besides dodge or whatever. This one takes literally nothing. But again, this one's concentration, and you can't do anything else. So it's kind of comparable, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, you would just always have the Drake Companion.
Right.
This is, 5th level summoning spell.
Right. And honestly, as a DM, I mean, if it has 50 HP, you can take care of that in like 2 turns. And then they have to cast another 5th level spell to bring it back. That's kind of a lot. Honestly, spells that have HP associated with it, it is definitely a question of, do you go for the concentration or do you go for the HP to get rid of it quicker?
Right.
Depending on the wizard, I mean, most people put way too much into just maintaining concentration with war magic or proficiency in constitution saving throws, whatever. But still, I think it's pretty easy as a DM to get rid of this, and then it's hard to get it back because 5th level is a big spell to cast. But it's fun. That's not even to detract and say like that it's not good. This is a very good spell.
Yeah. Then that's 50 points of damage not absorbed by your party, which is big.
Which is always useful.
Yeah. And it's probably going to be more than that because with 19 AC, things are going to miss. It's
Yeah.
19 AC is higher than a lot of players get. A lot of characters get. Yeah, and this is a druid, sorcerer, and wizard. Get this.
Oh, yeah, that's important to add.
Yeah. Fitting.
How much do you have the Drake Warden up? How much does that breath weapon do?
It doesn't have a breath weapon.
That's a class feature. It gets
Oh,
it
right,
later
at
on.
11th level.
Oh,
you get
Drake's
it.
breath at 11. 30-foot cone.
And it can come from either
Choose
you
the
or-
damage type. Each creature in the cone must make a dex save. Take 8d6 damage on a failed.
Okay.
So it's a fireball.
Right. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it goes up to 10d6 at 15th.
little different, yeah.
Yeah, and then like the Drake Wardens gets the infused strikes where like so it itself doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but then it can boost other attacks, and then its attacks does go up and becomes magical and blah blah blah. I guess Rend isn't magical, is it? No, just piercing damage. So yeah, that's something to consider.
Yeah. So they have their drawbacks.
yeah.
It's comparable. It's not like some of the other fatal flaws we've seen with, again, a Dragonborn getting a better breath weapon than the monk does.
Right.
So all in all, a lot of interesting spells added. I don't think
Yeah,
I hated
I
any
like
of them.
Right? Are these all now available at our table? For like the appropriate, classes, obviously.
I don't know. That's a really big question to ask me on air. That's so rude. Why? Is there one that you wanted?
No. Actually, it doesn't. It's not really applicable to us anyways. Most of these are sorcerer and wizard. Will, you could take Draconic Transformation or Summon Draconic Spirit, though. That's neat.
I feel like Musty hates
I
dragons.
don't like dragons. Yeah, Musty. Every character I play inherits that.
Yeah. Two things they inherit every time. Hate dragons, hate elves.
Ooh, I could take Psychic
Every time.
Lance.
That seems pretty reasonable
Yeah,
to
Multiclass and Bard. Yeah.
throw on there.
All right. We might have to do that.
And if you remember, you guys are leveled up for next session, so 14th level, it's here.
Woo.
And what else is here is our discount code for Metallic Dice Games, where you can save 10% off your order at our friends Metallic Dice Games by using the code MM10. Get yourself some pretty dice or dice accessories like little trays to roll your dice in or dice pouches. There might be other things, but dice related accessories. And we get helped a little bit with the 10% of that order. So yeah, you save money, we get money. It's literally all I'm gonna ask for Christmas this year, because I'm gonna ask that people buy dice using our code. To my family members, not to you as a community. I mean, you guys do whatever you want, but family members, if they buy me anything besides that, we're gonna have problems. Support the show or get out of my life. That's what I say to Grandma. And thank you as usual to our patrons. Jeth W, Joe P, Vincent M, Isaac M, Sentinel D20, Star Shinobi, Adam A, Home Bakery, Ed G, Bob F, and Craig A. You all are awesome. Thank you for supporting the show. If you too want to support the show, head on over to monstersofmulticlass.com/support, where you can find all of our other affiliates as well as details for the Patreon. And you also get a weekly picture of Kevin's cat as appearing on screen right now. Sorry, podcast listeners.
That's also not true. He just coincidentally jumped into my arms, and now he annoyed me all recording, so now I hold him and annoy him. You got the end here.
It's only fair. The circle of owning a cat.
Yes. He's so unhappy. He doesn't want to be held like this.
Well, thank you everybody for listening today. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, do the thing, follow. I don't know. You can find us anywhere on social media by looking up Monsters of Multiclass. So do that, and please, Kevin, take it away.
As always, thanks for watching.